A new AI model is rattling the confidence across the software sector.
Hi everybody, in the first week of February 2026, something shocking happened. On February 6, India's biggest IT companies got trashed.
Indian IT stocks saw a deep sell-off this morning with heavy losses which was seen across the board.
The Nifty IT index is down 20% in the month of February, and February so far is turning out to be the worst month on record since the global financial crisis.
They're calling it an AI apocalypse, an apocalypse triggered by AI. It has hit India's tech stocks. They've lost more than $22 billion in just 1 week.
The recent trigger for the IT stocks was the launch of Anthropic's Cloud Cowork agentic plugins. This could potentially erode the IT sector's high-margin application services revenue, impacting valuations and earnings going forward.
So all 10 Nifty IT stocks ended in the red, with Infosys and TCS leading the crash.
That wiped out more than 1.5 lakh crore rupees in the first few minutes of the trading.
1.3 lakh crore rupees gone in one day. But friends, here's what can shock you even more. This is not the first time India learned these lessons. Do you remember Tata Nano, the dream car of Ratan Tata that was supposed to revolutionize India, which got failed eventually, and that became India's biggest business lesson about understanding your customer? Well, what happened on February 6th? This has become India's second biggest business lesson, and this lesson is about something even more dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen, India's IT sector is facing a crisis that has never been seen before in the Indian corporate history.
14,000 fired from Amazon, 600 from Meta, 15,000 from Microsoft, 8,000 from IBM, 12,000 from TCS, 11,000 from Accenture. That's roughly 489 people every single day.
India's once high-growth IT job engine is now showing signs of deep structural change.
Well, Indian IT companies' shares dropped 7 to 8% on Anthropic's new AI-based software launch.
The country's top 5 IT firms, including Tata Consultancy Services, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech, and Tech Mahindra, collectively added just 17 net employees in the first 9 months of 25-26 financial year.
TCS derives 66% of its revenue from traditional services that this AI is designed to replace. So as software begins to act as the worker, the billion-dollar question remains: can a human-led delivery model survive an autonomous AI era?
Now, brokerage firm Jefferies claims that more pain is anticipated for IT companies. They have coined a new term for the phenomena, calling it a SaaSpocalypse.
The way the world is moving, the human becomes less and less relevant with time as these models get smarter.
2026 has begun with caution, not confidence, with cost cutting, not expansion, with warnings, not reassurance here.
Jefferies also feels that Anthropic and Palantir's latest claims are likely to impact IT firms, since application services account for nearly 40 to 70% of their revenues.
This is not just a business story, ladies and gentlemen. It is a warning signal.
But you know what? In the 1990s and 2000, the same Indian IT sector was growing so fast that Infosys created $4,000 millionaires in India. TCS became a 2.6 lakh crore rupees revenue giant. Indian IT professionals were buying houses in Pune, Hyderabad and Bangalore, and the IT boom created the entire modern middle class. In fact, Indian IT sector was so dominated that we held 55% of the global outsourcing market. Where China was busy building products, India was servicing the world's software. So the question is, when Indian IT was growing so fast and so dominantly, how did one AI tool from the American Silicon Valley collapses 1.3 lakh crore rupees in just one day? And most importantly, what is the one business lesson that every entrepreneur, every business student and every startup founder must learn from this IT sector crisis? Let's understand this together in today's episode. Before we go further, let me be very clear. This video is not about criticizing Infosys, TCS and Wipro. These are the great companies that built the modern India. But if you are a founder or running a business or planning your entrepreneurial journey, you need to understand what happened here. Because the mistake that is killing the Indian IT sector is exactly the same mistake that kills 90% of the Indian businesses. So let's understand this. This is the story that dates back to 1991. When India was going bankrupt, when we had money for only 2 weeks of imports, and when IMF forced India to liberalize its economy, during this course something magical happened. The year was 1999, and at that time, the world had a massive problem. Every computer system would crash on January 1st of the year 2000. Why? Because computers couldn't handle the year 2000. This was called the Y2K bug. At that time, American companies were panicking so much that all the American banks, airlines, hospitals, and software companies needed millions of programmers. But hiring in America was so expensive that when an American programmer cost $100,000, There, an Indian programmer could be hired just for $20,000 for the same task. The American companies could hire 5 Indian programmers instead of 1 American programmer in the same cost. And you know what? India has something unique. The engineers here can speak English very well. They even have a strong math foundation from IIT systems, and their willingness to work in night shift make them extraordinary for these American companies. So these American companies came running to India in search of Indian programmers. But Indian IT companies of that time like TCS, Infosys and Wipro, they said to these companies that, hey, why don't you just focus on building your product and we will maintain it, fix your bugs, update your codes, and even we will handle your customer support. That was the win-win deal for both the American companies and Indian companies. And this was the beginning of the golden era from 2000 to 2020.
In 1991, sweeping economic reforms liberalized the Indian economy, and for the software industry, there was no looking back. Exports rose exponentially. The world now turned to Indian IT players, not just for cheap labor, but also for reliable, high-quality services. This momentum gave birth to India's IT giants and cemented the legacy of older players. Infosys, Wipro, TCS, the companies boomed.
Infosys became the first Indian company to list on USA Stock Exchange, the Nasdaq.
India's IT companies power much of the world's software needs. From Infosys to TCS, India's tech innovations have reshaped its economy. And they've set new benchmarks for the world. The IT industry earns more than $245 billion a year. More than $200 billion of it comes from exports.
Look at these numbers. Indian IT exports in 1995 were just around $730 million. But till 2000, that increased to $8 billion. Till 2010, that reached to $50 billion. And till 2020, the total Indian IT exports were around $150 billion. That's a 215 times growth in 25 years. And you know what? During this phase, Infosys created $4,000 millionaires with their ESOPs in a single IPO. TCS employed more than 6 lakh people, and Bengaluru transformed from a pensioners state to India's Silicon Valley. That was the gift of IT boom to India and its people. In fact, every middle class parent told their child कि बेटा एक बार इंजीनियरिंग करके IT जॉब ले लो फिर तो लाइफ सेट है. And for 20 years it was absolutely true. Indian IT professors bought their apartments in their 20s, got married and sent their kids to international schools building the modern India, and even they took annual foreign vacation. But here's what nobody noticed during this boom. While American companies were building great products like Amazon, Apple, Google and Microsoft, Indian companies were building just services. We never owned the product. We only focused on servicing it. Think about this again, where companies like Microsoft, Google and Oracle own Windows, search and databases, their Infosys and Wipro manage their clients, enterprise tools and implementation. We were the world's best mechanics, but we never built the car and never owned that. And for 20 years, for 20 years, nobody thought it was a problem until
Anthropic. Recently, Anthropic released an update. Anthropic is the company behind platforms like Claude.
Anthropic released 11 new enterprise plugins for what it calls the Claude Coworker agent.
And they've just released 2 new tools. Claude Cowork.
On February 3rd, 2026, Anthropic launched Claude Cowork, an AI agent that's not just another chatbot but can perform actual business tasks that Indian IT companies charge millions for, like scanning legal compliance, updating legacy codes, maintaining systems, and even handling their customer support. Where Indian IT companies charge $30 to $60 million every month for each task, Claude Cowork simply does it for free. And overnight, American companies realized that why are we paying these Indian IT companies millions of dollars when Claude can do it for just $10 million. This created such a domino effect that just after the Claude Cowork announcement, tech blogs started exploding with coverage and investment firms started calling it the SaaS apocalypse. They even gave a warning that 9 to 12% of the Indian IT revenue could be vanished in next 4 years. If you don't know how much that is, that's nearly 1.5 lakh crore rupees. And you know what? Just when the market opened, TCS fall by 5.8%, Infosys by 7.3% and Wipro by 3.9%, and nearly 1.3 lakh crore rupees wide in just one day. But here's the real problem. This was not a surprise attack. This was a 10-year-old warning that Indian IT companies completely ignored. Let me show you 5 critical mistakes that is killing India's IT sector. Mistake number 1. The service trap. As we discussed that Indian ITs were focused only on services, and for 20 years it worked beautifully. But you know what? The moment the product owner finds a better way to service their product, you are dead. You are always one innovation away from extinction. Mistake number 2, the 1% R&D crime. Now look at these numbers carefully. TCS annual revenue in 2024 was more than 2,62,000 crore rupees, but their R&D spending was just around 2,630 crores. That's just 1% of their revenue. Infosys revenue in 2024 was nearly 1,82,000 crore rupees, and their R&D spending was 9,100 crores. That's by the way 5%, but compare this to global tech giant. IBM spends 12% on R&D, Google spends 15%, Amazon by 12%, and Microsoft spent 13% on research and development. So Indian ITs cut costs on R&D, they even improve efficiency and optimize process, but they forgot to innovate. They forgot to build the next big thing. And now when the big thing has arrived from America, they have nothing to fight back. Mistake number 3. The efficiency delusion. For 20 years, Indian ITs became so obsessed with doing the same task faster and cheaper that this has become their religion, and it worked brilliantly. An Indian engineer could do the same job for $20,000, where an American charges $100,000. But here's the trap that nobody saw. When you compete on efficiency and AI becomes more efficient than you, your efficiency no longer has any value. Why? Because AI doesn't sleep, it doesn't take holidays, doesn't need salary, and works 24/7 without human errors. Mistake number 4, the comfort zone graveyard. From 1995 to 2015, it was called the golden years for the Indian IT sector, and every Fortune 500 company needed an Indian IT partner to automate their orders, guarantee their renewals, and predict their growth. But during this journey, they got so comfortable that they forgot to innovate because their clients were happy. They didn't need to take risks because the business was stable, and they didn't need to build products because services were profitable. But after the launch of ChatGPT and Claude Cowork, suddenly these comfort giants realized that the world has moved on and they were still stuck to 1995. This is exactly what happened to Nokia. Nokia dominated the mobile phones for more than 15 years, and they got so comfortable that they never felt the need to innovate. And when iPhone arrived in 2007 with their touch screens, Nokia got no time to realize its mistake, and by 2013 Nokia was dead. And lastly, betting on labor, not leverage. Suppose there's any IT company and it has a simple business model. To get more revenue, they need more clients, and to serve those clients, they need to hire more and more engineers. This was the linear growth. Now let's see the business model of OpenAI. OpenAI's revenue grows every time their software gets better. When they built ChatGPT version 1, they got nearly 1 million users. After version 2, their users were around 10 million, and when they improved to version 4, they had more than 100 million users. This was the exponential growth, where your revenue grows exponentially with the same team but with a much more efficient version of your product. So if you are an entrepreneur or planning to start a business or building something right now, what does this IT sector crisis really teaches you? Well, here are 3 non-negotiable lessons that I found. Lesson number 1, own the product, not just the services. Because if AI can do what you do, you don't have a business anymore. Lesson number 2, invest at least 15% in future, not 100% in present, so that you do not die in the future. And lastly, build for exponential growth, not for linear, so that your revenue grows faster than your team size. And if they grow at the same rate, you don't really have a business, you have an expensive job. Friends, today Indian IT companies are not losing because they are bad companies. They are losing because they made choices that were right from 1990 to 2020 but are wrong for 2020 and 2030. This was the India's second biggest business lesson. That's all from my side. If you learned something valuable, please subscribe and hit that like button. And also please tell in comments how was the video and what do you think, which industry will AI disrupt the next. Bye.